We're joined by Colin Keane on a Zoom call with myself and Fran tonight. Colin, many congratulations, not only on recording your second Jockey Championship, but on your 4 Group 1 winners, and most recently last Saturday night, your first Breeders' Cup winner. Well done.
Thank you, Kev. Thank you. No, it's been a great year. Obviously, brilliant to get a second championship, and as you say, to ride 4 Group 1 winners. To go out to the Breeders' Cup for Siskin, and then to pick up the spare for Mr. Weld, and for her to go and win, you couldn't write it, to be honest. It was a dream come true.
What were you hoping for at the start of the season? I know it's obviously been a very difficult year, an unexceptional year in every sense of the word, but what had you set your targets on, or what were you hoping for at the start of the season, Colin?
Well, we start our year, I suppose, like every year, trying to beat the previous year's tally, and if we're fortunate enough to try and become champion jockey. But obviously this is no normal year, and our season, when it started, then it got stopped. I thought straight away then we weren't going to get near the century, you could say. And then obviously to go ride Siskin and having to give 2 weeks onto the sidelines, I thought we'd definitely get nowhere near it. So just when we came back, and things got rolling, and when it got going, it just took off.
Just on the championship, Colin, when he did come back, was it that treble or 4-timer that you had in Belliesturn that night? Was that the key point to the thing turning for you?
It probably was, yeah. Kind of from then on, or that meeting on, we were riding doubles and trebles. Now still we had very much an uphill hill to fight. Dusty said very strong pace early doors with him and Mrs. Harrington. They've had an unbelievable season, and they were every horse was winning for them. They were knocking in winners left, right, and centre. But we when we gave up the 2 weeks, we didn't really concentrate on it as such, which was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because I wasn't riding or thinking about it the whole time, and it just kind of got going.
And Colin, obviously, you were on the back foot. I think you were around 20 behind. Were you even a little bit more when you came back after your 2 weeks quarantine?
Yeah, exactly. We had a lot of work to do. As I say, that's why we kind of just put it to the back of our head, and whatever happened happened as such. But as Fran said, when we after we rode the 4-timer in Belliesturn, it just took off for us. Each week we were riding doubles and trebles on the meetings, and it went from strength to strength.
And it really set up a great finish and made it very interesting the last month or 6 weeks of the flat season, because normally of a normal year, the flat season, the last couple of weeks, people, the general public, it kind of leaves their imagination. They switch on into jump mode of that, but it really gathered momentum and really got so many people involved, and everybody that has any interest in racing, we're looking up every evening to see how many winners of Colin Keane ridden, how many winners of Dusty Foley ridden. Yeah,
exactly. It took our minds off what everything was going on in the world. Obviously, it's a great position to be in. It's not always the nicest when you're fighting it out, but no, look, thankfully we came out the right end of it, and it worked out well, and we were delighted to get a second championship. You know, you're fortunate enough to ride one. To ride two is just brilliant. To win one,
and your first couple of classic winners as well, Colin. Obviously, that meant so much to you. And just thinking back, the emotion you showed going by the line after winning your first guineas and Siskin, was there a sense of relief as well as enjoyment riding your first 2000 guineas winner? Yeah,
very much so. Obviously, going on having our first fancied ride, you could say, in a classic on a horse that was unbeaten as a 2-year-old. He carried a big reputation into his 3-year-old career. After winning, all his winning was done over 6, and stepping up to a mile for the first time, and then drawn 2 in a big field. And the way he likes to be ridden, you have to kind of give him a chance. He's a horse, as we've seen, with a very good turn of foot. And look, obviously beforehand, it's if it happens and if it doesn't happen, but thankfully it all happened right on the day. So yeah, you could say relief, Kev.
And obviously your second classic winner. I imagine you went into the Oaks with not as much pressure, because although yourself and Gerard fancied to run a big race, I think it's fair to say you weren't expecting or to go and win. There wasn't basically as much pressure on you with Even So as there was with Siskin.
Oh yeah, completely different. She was a filly that was after progressing well from her maiden to listed in Group 3. She was stepping up in trip the whole time and in grade. And look, if I'd say beforehand, if you gave us third, we probably would have taken the hand off you. So for her to go out and win the way she did, like it was brilliant.
And Colin, on Even So, what do you reflect on her later in the year? Obviously, she didn't go on to win, but is she going to be kept in training, or what's the plan with her since then?
No, she's finished now. As far as I know, she's gone to stud. So I think she's gone abroad as far as I'm aware. But no, she's finished. So she's done her job for us.
Indeed, she has. And just looking ahead to next year's 3-year-olds, of the 2-year-olds that you've had this year in Jers, anything that stands out? You obviously don't have the class of a Siskin at the minute, but you have a couple of nice maidens win recently.
Yeah, we do have a couple of nice maidens. A horse you probably didn't see the best of him was Mason. Thought he was a nice winner of his maiden, and he boiled over. He ran well, I should say, in Leopardstown to be third, and then he boiled over at the Curragh, which isn't him usually. At home, he's a very level-minded horse and shows plenty of ability. I think I could see him to turn into a nice horse next year. Please God.
You were beat leaving the parade ring that day at the Curragh, weren't you? I remember working for Racing TV. I was at the parade ring just looking at the horses leaving, and the sweat was running off your horse, and he was fairly revved, wasn't he?
Yeah, he had his race ran before, as you say, before we even left the parade ring. He had a right go then in the stalls, which, as I say, isn't him. So hopefully it was just one of them things on the day, and he can come back and show what he's been showing us at home next year.
How high do you think he can go, Cal?
Oh, I'd like to. Obviously I don't know about the highest level, but I'd like to think he's at least a Group 3, Group 2 horse, Kev. He shows us plenty of ability at home. We thought highly of him, so hopefully he can prove us right next year, as I say.
And obviously, you quite rightly said you just draw a line through that last run at the Curragh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, obviously it was a very good race. Not to take away from it or anything, but I just don't think you've seen the best of our horse to the best of his effect.
The fillies of Jers, Cal, any Even So's lurking amongst those?
Possibly. Talaker is a nice filly, obviously a half sister to Siskin. It took her a while to win her maiden, to be fair, but we were possibly riding her wrong. She likes to follow away and not to see too much too soon. Also, Angel Pam was a nice winner of her maiden, and then again, probably repeating myself, but you probably didn't see the best of her in the Curragh towards the back end of the year, maybe the year just after catching up on her. But they're two fillies that pleased us plenty at home, and hopefully they can progress to their 3-year-old career and show it on the track for us.
Just on Talaker, obviously she's his sister of Siskin's. You brought her to Belliostown, you think, right, mild fillies maiden, we're just going to run around Belliostown. She gets beaten 5 lengths, and he gets beaten 5 lengths by Pretty Gorgeous. Of course, he went on to win the fillies mile. It just shows you in Irish racing, you don't know what you're going to run into day to day, even on the small tracks.
That's it, yeah, exactly. We probably thought we were being clever going to Belliostown, thinking you wouldn't bump into that. But look what that filly went on to do, and she was very good winning her maiden, and she's been very good since. She looks like a proper filly.
Another proper filly, obviously your third Group 1 winner of the season, was a filly that improved through all recognition this season. Sean Prezelise, she started off the season winning a handicap up the Curragh, I think it was Guineas weekend, and she turns into winning the Group 1 Matron Stakes, Carl. She was very, very good this season, and again showcased what a trainer Johnny Murtagh is. Exactly.
I remember coming home from the Curragh that day, and I got beat on a horse of Jared's leadership race, and I was disgusted with myself. But it just goes to show you, no, she's been a revelation for Johnny, and brilliant training and performance throughout the year to get her peaking so many times, and then for her to go and win a Group 1 for him, and for me to get the riding her, I was just delighted, because Johnny was a man I looked up to, obviously growing up, so it was brilliant.
And she ran a cracker in her final run, the Group 1 in Newmarket as well. Met a little bit of trouble in running, but has stayed on well. Do you think there's more to come from her next season?
I do. I think so, Kev. Yeah. Obviously, because the amount she's progressed in such a short space of time, I can't see why she can't keep going that way as a 4-year-old next year. Obviously, she's not a big, robust filly, but she's very genuine in all heart, and she's gone from strength to strength, as you say.
And Tarnawa then, of course, in the Breeders' Cup. Talk us through what happened. You went over your first Breeders' Cup meeting, riding Siskin, and all of a sudden, Christoph Soumion fails the COVID test, and you get the call up to ride Dermot Wells Tarnawa.
Yeah, it was Wednesday. Myself and Shane were after finishing riding out. We went for lunch in the hotel, and we went up and we bumped into Mikel Barcelona, and he told us about Christoph failing his COVID test, and we sat down, and literally 5 minutes later, Mr. Well rang me and just asked me, or I could be filling in to be a super sub. That Chris, he had to get another 2 tests, and they had to be clear, obviously, to ride. And unfortunately, he failed them. So we were allowed to ride her.
And as the fella says, the rest is history.
That's right.
Talk us through that race in Tarnawa. We'll talk about Siskin and his bell in a minute, but Tarnawa, Colin, what was the plan and how did things go?
Speaking to Mr. Weld and Oisin beforehand, he didn't really make a plan as such. He said she can be slow away, so the main thing was to try and get her away as well as we can and kind of ride it from there. And then talking to Oisin, he said she's very straightforward. You can really put her anywhere you want. She'll relax. So we got her out as well as we can and found our way behind Frankie and Ryan, and we just followed the way around. We went a little bit stop-start, but looking through her videos and speaking to connections, they said she has a very good turn of foot, as you've seen, and it just all worked out, thankfully.
How good is she? I know you've ridden Even So, but this filly looks like if she kept in training, she could be a real art contender next year, or she's just got that touch of class.
Yeah, she seems to be top drawer stuff, and any filly that can get close to her, even by Magical, is a very good filly. You know, I thought realistically, if we were second to her, we'd be doing well, to be honest. But to go and beat her now, it just proves she's a proper filly.
And to use a great saying of Dermot Wells, she's a stayer with speed.
Exactly. Gets the trip well, relaxes, and has a good turn of foot. You couldn't ask for more, I don't think.
And which she really showed in America last weekend. You know, she quickened up and you turned in. You've asked her to go about her job, and she's quickened, and she's put distance between them in a matter of strides, isn't she?
Exactly. Like, she's probably a filly, if you really needed her, she'd come back and trip, which she showed with the turn of foot she had. As I say, very uncomplicated. Just pleasure to ride, to be honest.
Talk to us about Siskin, Carl.
Siskin was obviously, he was a little bit disappointing. To be fair, he behaved himself well beforehand and in the stalls, and he jumped okay, but the European horses compared to the American horses, as I learned in the 2 rides, they're very quick out, very quick into striding. And I found myself behind Frankie and Lupi Fernandez, and I followed him around, and we got a little bit tight leaving the back, didn't get stopped or checked, but Frankie stayed on well to be third, and I leveled off. I thought when I turned in, unfortunately we didn't see the best of him, but I obviously very disappointing, but I couldn't really put my finger on it, to be honest, because building up to it over there, I thought he seemed to have come over well, was enjoying his trip, training well, so it was just a bit of a head scratcher, to be honest.
And of course, that's the end of him, Colin, and he's going to stud now. But God, he's given you some great days, obviously, with the National Stakes last year, or the National Phoenix Stakes last year, and then your first Classic. You'll have very fond memories of him for the rest of your career.
Exactly. He's as far as I'm aware, he's going to Japan now, and no, he owes us nothing. He's been an absolute stable star to give me and Ger our first Group 1 last year, and then our first Classic this year. He's a horse we'll remember for a long time.
And obviously we're going to remember him as well, because myself and Fran were going to club together, and we're going to buy Ger a bell for his Christmas present off myself and Fran this year, aren't we, Fran?
Indeed we are. We're going to present it to him on Racing TV on some Friday night if we ever get him out and to meet again.
I'm sure he'll love that. I'm sure he'll love it.
It was good that Niall Hannity brought a bell into the studio the other evening anyway. So, yeah, no. We don't know if we're going to get a big bell or a small bell, do we, Fran, for Ger for Christmas?
We don't know. We get him on a little bike. We promise we get him a little tricycle or something as well to keep him amused. But just calling on them 3 trainers that you rode, them 3 Group 1 winners for this year. Obviously, Dermot Wells, but he ridden from the 2 times. He wasn't there, but what was a ecstatic Ger Lyons and ecstatic Johnny Murtle like to deal with, and what was the difference after each of them Grade 1 victories? They're 2 pretty bubbly characters at the best of times.
Yeah, three completely different people. But like beforehand, very similar, as in didn't tie you down to a massive amount of instructions, kind of let you do your own thing, ride it as you find it. And then obviously afterwards, very happy. But yeah, 3 different characters altogether. But no, it's great.
Carl, you're finished up now for a couple of weeks. You're not riding in Dundalk tomorrow night when obviously this goes out. Yourself and Kerry are heading away to Barbados for 2 weeks holidays.
Yeah, we're heading away to Barbados now tomorrow, Kev, for 2 weeks. So we've had a busy year and it's been full on. So we said we'd take 2 weeks now and come back then before Christmas and maybe tip away again up there. And
you just need to step off the wheel, don't you, or the merry-go-round, say, for just to let yourself relax and your body relax and your head relax after being flat to the boards all season. And obviously then added pressure, fighting out the championship for the last few weeks as well. You just have to recharge the batteries, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. As you say, it's been full on. It's been very hectic in a short space of time, and fighting out the championship with Dusty. So no, for the head and body, we're going to take our 2 weeks now and enjoy it.
And Colin, when you make a comeback in Dundalk after your break, I'm sure Colour Sergeant will be there to run for you every Friday night in them maidens anyway.
Jeez, don't say that. hopefully he'll be on his break.
Must be a big fan of Colour Sergeant.
Well, Zossie Moss won on Wednesday night up there, so every horse has a chance.
Yeah, his form is working out, in fairness. His form is working out.
Colin, an unfair question. Out of all the top successes this year, your 4 Group 1s, your 2nd championship, your 1st Breeders' Cup winner, was there one that stands out as the main highlight, the one you got most satisfaction out of?
Probably Siskin. I'd have to say him, yeah. It meant a lot to ride my first class. I had to have my first classic, to ride it in them colours and for it to be my boss. I wouldn't be in the position I am without him. So that did mean a lot. Yeah. And
just about Ger, you just touched on there. Without Ger, you wouldn't be in the position you're in now. He's a great man to instill confidence in his riders. As you say, he doesn't tie you down to instructions as well. And that's obviously one of the key attributes of working for Ger.
Exactly, yeah. He's behind you 100%. He doesn't tie you down. He says what's on his mind. He'll say it, clean slate straight away after that, move on, doesn't hold a grudge. He's, you couldn't ask for a better man to work for, to be honest.
I think we've seen Ger at his best last Friday night, and it's a great association, and I'm sure they'll have a great year next year, Kevin, when they get that bell.
Yeah, myself and Fran are going to make sure you have the bell for next year. Ger Lyons' Christmas present.
Can't wait.
Glen Burnie.
Can't wait.
Well, Colin, look, on behalf of everybody on Racing TV and all the viewers, you've been an absolute pleasure and a gentleman as always to deal with throughout the year, and you give us all and all the viewers a lot of fun and satisfaction and a great entertainment as well. Yourself and Dusty was a fantastic battle. Enjoy your holiday in Barbados, and You truly deserve it. And we look forward to seeing you back in Dundalk in the not too distant future. Don't get too sunburned out in Barbados.
No, I'll try not. Thanks, lads. Thanks for having me.
Well done, Colin. Well done.